The sky above Earth was not just dark. It was heavy with anticipation. For days, strange lights had appeared in the heavens, far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. People thought it was just another natural phenomenon, a comet or a distant meteor shower. But as the days passed, the lights grew brighter, and rumors spread like wildfire. Something, or someone, was coming. The leaders of the world were briefed quickly. Satellites and advanced telescopes had confirmed what they feared. An alien fleet, unlike anything Earth had encountered, was heading straight for them. It wasn't just one ship. It was hundreds, perhaps even thousands, of ships, each one bigger than any structure built by humankind. The ships had no markings, no sign of any allegiance to known alien races. The world was about to face something new, something terrifying. As the ships drew closer, the world's leaders met in secret. They could feel the pressure mounting with each passing hour. They knew a decision had to be made, and fast. Would they fight? Would they surrender? What were the aliens here for? Were they conquerors? Diplomats? Destroyers? The uncertainty gnawed at every leader's mind. In an emergency meeting at the United Nations, representatives from every nation gathered. The meeting was tense, filled with whispered conversations and hurried calculations. The first thing that was clear was that Earth wasn't prepared. There was no global defense system capable of facing such an advanced alien threat. The military powers of Earth, despite their strength, were no match for the technology in those ships. As the debate raged on, a message arrived. It was broadcast across all communication channels, reaching every corner of the world. The voice was calm, cold, almost robotic, but it was clear. The aliens had spoken. "We are the overlords of the galaxy. Your planet has been chosen. You will comply or face extinction. Surrender to our will, and we will spare your lives. Refuse, and we will annihilate you without mercy." The message was simple. The overlords had spoken with authority, making it clear that Earth had no choice but to submit. They claimed to be the rulers of the galaxy, and their ships had the power to destroy everything in their path. No one could challenge them. The world's leaders sat in stunned silence. The message echoed through the halls of every government, every military base, every home. It was a threat like no other. Earth's future hung in the balance, and humanity now faced an impossible decision. Despite the fear and uncertainty that filled the air, something strange began to happen. Instead of panic, a quiet resistance began to stir in the hearts of many. People were afraid, yes, but they were also angry. Angry that these alien overlords thought they could just waltz into Earth's backyard and make demands. Humanity had always prided itself on its ability to fight back, to survive against all odds. In the midst of the global chaos, one individual, a scientist known for his quick wit and humor, sent out a message. He posted it on every major social media platform, tagging it with the words, "Earth's response to the ultimatum." The post was simple, a picture of the overlord's ships with the caption, "That's cute. Do it again." The post quickly went viral. The people of Earth, tired of the fear and uncertainty, began to laugh. The meme, ridiculous, absurd, and entirely human, spread like wildfire. It was a bold move, one that sent a clear message to the invaders. Earth was not scared. Earth was not going to bow down to anyone, not even the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But as the laughter spread, the overlords did not find it funny. They were not used to being mocked, especially not by a species they considered insignificant. The alien fleet above Earth remained silent for a time, as if pondering the human response. They had not expected this. They had not expected laughter. They had expected fear. And now, they didn't know what to do. The overlords were not used to being laughed at. To them, fear was a tool, one they wielded with precision. But humor was foreign to them. It was a weapon they didn't understand, and that lack of understanding only made the situation more dangerous. As the world waited, the tension grew once again. No one knew how the Overlords would respond. Would they strike in anger? Or would they simply leave, insulted by the unexpected response? It was clear, however, that this was not the end. The galaxy's most powerful beings had issued a warning, and humanity had answered with defiance. But that defiance could come at a cost. The stakes were higher than ever, and the world held its breath, waiting for the next move. Would Earth survive the Overlord's wrath, or would humanity's bold response lead to their downfall? The answer was uncertain, but one thing was clear: this was far from over. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and humanity had just made the first move. The initial response from Earth was unexpected, even humorous in some ways, but the reality of the situation quickly set in. The Overlords had never encountered a race like humanity before, and their immediate reaction to the meme was not one of amusement but of bewilderment. They had sent a warning to a primitive species, expecting obedience, submission, and terror. What they got instead was a picture and a snarky caption. The Overlord's fleet, which stretched across the skies like a dark, looming cloud, hovered in silent menace above Earth. Their ships were enormous, covered in alien symbols that no human could decipher, and their weapons were capable of leveling entire cities with ease. The thought that a species so small and insignificant, at least by their standards, would mock them was unfathomable. But here it was, happening right before their eyes. The alien leaders had convened aboard their flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed anything Earth had ever built. It was a place of order, power, and terrifying stillness. The Overlord who stood at the helm of the fleet, a towering figure whose very presence radiated authority, was called Saltor. He was the commander of the fleet, the one who had led countless invasions across the galaxy. Nothing in his long history had ever been met with resistance in this manner. As Exaltor watched the viral memes spread, his mind raced. He had expected fear. He had expected humans to cower before them, begging for mercy. But this was an insult. He slammed his fist against the command console, his anger building. "Who dares mock us?" he growled. "This species, this tiny, insignificant planet, thinks it can defy the galactic empire. They will regret this." But one of his subordinates, a younger overlord with a sharp mind, suggested a different approach. "Lord Salter, perhaps we should consider this reaction as something more than mere mockery. It could be a sign of strength, not weakness. We know little of these humans and their culture. Perhaps humor is their weapon, a form of defense." Saltor paused. He hadn't thought about it like that. The Overlords were masters of warfare, not humor. Their society had long outgrown anything as trivial as jokes. But this human reaction, it was different. It was clever, even in its simplicity. Perhaps it was worth investigating further before acting rashly. Zaltor ordered his fleet to halt its advance and requested a direct line to Earth's leaders. The moment the humans saw the alien fleet hesitate, they knew something was different. The tension in the air was palpable. The meme, which had once been a symbol of defiance, was now a rallying point. People began to wonder, would the Overlords back down? Or were they preparing to unleash their full fury? On Earth, the leaders were thrown into chaos. They had expected an attack, an immediate strike, but nothing happened. The meme had sparked something much bigger, a momentary pause in the overwhelming weight of fear. In the cities around the world, people gathered, watching the skies nervously. Their collective response had been bold, but the stakes had never been higher. In the United Nations, representatives from every nation were in an emergency meeting. They didn't know how to respond to this turn of events. What were the Overlords thinking? Would they retaliate, or would they attempt to understand Earth's sense of humor? Just as uncertainty began to set in, a new transmission was received. This time, it wasn't a threat, but a question. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and clinical, but not aggressive. It was the Overlords, but it seemed different. It was an inquiry, an attempt to communicate, to understand what had just happened. "We have received your response. It is unclear to us," the voice said, reverberating in every language on Earth. "Explain your reaction. Why did you mock us? Why did you not tremble?" Humanity was at a crossroads. The Overlords, in all their might and intelligence, had reached out, but their question revealed something crucial. They did not understand humanity. They had underestimated Earth's resolve, its ability to fight back with something as simple, yet as powerful, as humor. The world's leaders took a collective breath. There was no fear now, just an undeniable urge to continue what had been started. In response, the President of the United States, standing before a live audience, addressed the world. "Humans don't bow down to threats," he said, his voice steady. "We laugh in the face of fear. We fight when others expect us to fall. We are not afraid of these invaders. They can bring all their power, all their weapons, but they will never understand the strength we have." The President's speech was broadcast globally. It wasn't just a message to the Overlords. It was a message to the people of Earth. The entire world rallied behind the simple, powerful sentiment: we will not submit. In every corner of the world, people watched and waited. The Overlords had made the first move, but now, humanity was making its stand. The universe's greatest power had underestimated Earth's greatest strength. It wasn't advanced technology. It wasn't superior firepower. It was something far simpler: the human spirit. As the Overlords watched, they began to question their approach. What they had seen as a weakness was, in fact, a strength. The challenge had been thrown, and now it was their move. Would they advance and crush Earth's defiance, or would they falter, unsure of how to respond to a species so different from anything they had ever encountered? The tension between Earth and the Overlords had only just begun, and this was far from over. The aliens had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and now, Earth was ready to show them that they had just poked the bear. The Overlords' massive fleet loomed above Earth, their ships casting shadows over entire continents. The tension between the two forces was thick enough to feel. The Galactic Empire had made its presence known, and humanity had responded with defiance. But now, the moment of truth had arrived. Zaltor, the leader of the Overlords, stood at the command center of his flagship. His alien face, usually a picture of cold confidence, now displayed a mix of confusion and frustration. For centuries, he had led his empire in conquest after conquest, and never before had an opponent dared to mock him, let alone survive his threats. The humans had defied him. Instead of fear, they had shown humor. Instead of submission, they had shown courage. Now, Zaltor was faced with the reality that humanity was not the weak, insignificant species they had assumed them to be. This was no simple world to crush, no insignificant collection of primitive beings. They had shown an inner strength that threatened to unravel everything he thought he knew about warfare. Zaltor turned to his advisors. "Prepare for the invasion," he ordered, his voice a low growl. "We will crush them. This defiance ends now." But deep down, Zaltor wasn't sure. There was something unsettling about the humans' reaction, something he couldn't fully understand. He had anticipated a quick submission, a quick surrender. But instead, Earth had done something that seemed so simple, yet so powerful. It had laughed in the face of destruction. Meanwhile, on Earth, the mood was anything but fearful. Humanity had spent years fighting wars among themselves, enduring hardships, and facing countless challenges. They were no strangers to adversity. This alien threat, however powerful, was not going to break their spirit. If anything, it had united them more than ever before. The world's leaders were busy strategizing, not in panic, but in determination. They had already shown the Overlords that they wouldn't be cowed. Now they needed to prove it further by preparing Earth for the inevitable confrontation. "What are we going to do?" the President asked, pacing in the war room. "These aliens are capable of unimaginable destruction. But we can't back down. We've made our stand. The room fell silent. Every world leader knew the gravity of the situation. There was no going back now. The world had been united under one simple principle: humanity would not kneel. In the midst of the high-stakes preparations, an unexpected moment of humor broke through the tension. The meme that had started it all, an image of the Overlords fleet with the caption, "That's cute, do it again," had gone viral, sparking laughter in the face of fear. It had become a symbol of Earth's resistance. People everywhere, from the cities of Europe to the deserts of Africa, were now laughing and sharing the meme. The moment was captured by news outlets, broadcast across the globe. What started as an act of defiance had morphed into a global movement. The meme wasn't just a joke anymore. It was a statement. It was a promise that humanity would face the Overlords with unwavering courage, no matter the cost. But the aliens, despite their best efforts to understand, were still confused. They watched as humans rallied together in solidarity, laughing in the face of certain death. They didn't understand how something so simple could be so powerful. They had underestimated humans' ability to resist, and now they were faced with an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. In the heart of the Overlord fleet, Zaltor watched the memes spread like wildfire, and his frustration grew. He had never seen anything like it before, but in the midst of his frustration, something inside him began to shift. Perhaps the humans were not so weak after all. "Send a message," Zaltor ordered his communications officer. "Tell them we're coming, but let them know. We will see if their humor survives the onslaught." The officer nodded, and the message was sent. It was simple, blunt, and menacing. "We are coming. Prepare for annihilation. Your memes will not save you." The humans on Earth saw the message. The world held its breath as the Overlord's threat echoed through every communication channel. But this time, it was different. The fear that should have gripped the hearts of the people didn't come. Instead, a collective sense of determination flooded the planet. In the United States, the president stood before the world, his eyes filled with resolve. "We've heard their threat, and we'll meet it head-on. We are not afraid of these invaders. They've underestimated us. We will show them that we are stronger than they could ever imagine." The president's words spread like wildfire. From Asia to Africa, from Europe to the Americas, people were rising to the challenge. The memes, once a joke, had become symbols of hope, defiance, and strength. Humanity wasn't just responding to the threat of the Overlords. They were making a stand for their future, for their very survival. As the Overlord fleet began to advance, the humans of Earth were ready. The time for humor had passed. Now the battle for survival would begin in earnest. Would the Overlords destroy Earth's defiance, or would they find that they had underestimated the strength of a species who could laugh in the face of annihilation? The tension between Earth and the Overlords had reached a boiling point. The humans had spoken. The Overlords had responded. And now there was only one thing left to do: fight. As the Overlord fleet drew closer to Earth, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. On Earth, preparations were underway on an unprecedented scale. Military forces, scientists, engineers, and even civilians were all ready to play their part. This was no longer just a war of survival. It was a battle for the soul of humanity. The first move came from the Overlords. Massive ships, each the size of cities, began descending into Earth's orbit. The ships glowed with eerie, otherworldly light, their sleek, terrifying shapes casting shadows that spread across the globe. Humanity had never faced a force like this. The Overlords had advanced technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. But what the Overlords did not expect was the defiance that had already taken root in the hearts of humankind. People weren't cowering in fear or waiting to be annihilated. Instead, the streets were filled with voices shouting slogans of defiance. "We are not afraid," became the rallying cry. Social media exploded with memes, defiant messages, and viral videos. Earth had united in a way that had never been seen before. The president addressed the world once more. "We've had our fun. Now it's time to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. They've made a mistake. We won't go down without a fight. Behind the scenes, a global military alliance had been formed. Countries that had once been rivals were now working side by side. The human race had no time for petty conflicts now. This was a matter of survival. As the Overlord ships began to deploy their first wave of attacks, the humans retaliated with everything they had. Conventional weapons wouldn't stand a chance, but Earth had prepared something far more dangerous: humanity's resourcefulness. The Earth's top engineers, having studied the alien technology for months, had developed a series of electromagnetic pulse (EMP) weapons. These weapons were designed to disable the Overlord ships and disrupt their advanced systems. The EMP weapons were launched from every corner of the world, from hidden underground bases to the rooftops of major cities. The moment the first EMP burst rippled through space, the Overlord ships were shaken. The ships' lights flickered. Their weapon systems shut down for precious seconds. It was just enough to give humanity a small but crucial advantage. In space, the battle was fierce. Earth's defense fleets, made up of repurposed civilian ships and experimental military vessels, engaged the Overlord forces with everything they had. The humans had no intention of going down without a fight. The skies above Earth became a battlefield of flashing lasers and exploding ships. But the Overlords were relentless. They quickly adapted to Earth's tactics, and their massive warships retaliated with brutal force. Cities across the world watched in horror as explosions lit up the skies. The Overlords were not going to let this little planet mock them and live. But it was in the face of this overwhelming power that humanity's true strength began to shine. Earth's people did not cower. They fought back with every ounce of strength, every bit of creativity, and every weapon at their disposal. They didn't have the superior technology, but they had something more powerful: the will to survive. On the front lines, soldiers moved swiftly, working in unison. They coordinated strikes using guerrilla tactics, overwhelming alien forces in unexpected ways. Their ships, though old and makeshift, moved with surprising agility. It was clear that the Overlords, despite their vast superiority, were struggling to understand Earth's tactics. In the heart of the conflict, one soldier stood out. Captain Amelia Hayes had been thrust into the spotlight when the first wave of alien attacks hit her hometown. A woman of few words, Hayes had a reputation for bravery and cleverness. When the Overlord's first wave of destruction arrived, she led a team of soldiers to infiltrate a captured Overlord ship. Using the knowledge gleaned from the remains of destroyed ships, she had managed to disable key systems, buying precious time for Earth's forces. As the battle raged on, Amelia's reputation as a leader grew. She was quickly promoted to captain of one of Earth's main defense fleets. With her strategic mind and experience, she led her team to take down a massive Overlord dreadnought. Using a combination of human ingenuity and relentless drive, the Overlords could not comprehend how this small planet had managed to break through their defenses. Back on Earth, the people watched Amelia's victory on their screens. Cheers erupted from every corner of the planet. It was a small victory, but it was the symbol that Earth needed. Humanity was fighting back. The Overlords, now facing the reality of Earth's resilience, were left with a choice: continue their assault or reconsider their approach. Zoltor, the leader of the Overlords, was still frustrated, but he could no longer ignore the tenacity of humanity. They were not just throwing memes and making jokes anymore. They were fighting back, and they were fighting hard. Zoltor stared at the holographic projections of Earth's defense forces. For the first time, he felt doubt creep into his mind. He had underestimated humanity, but now he knew they were a force to be reckoned with. "We must crush them," he said, his voice more uncertain than before. "Prepare the second wave." The battle for Earth was far from over, but one thing was clear: the Overlords had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were going to pay the price. As Earth's forces rallied together for the next phase of the conflict, the question loomed. Could humanity continue to defy the odds, or would the Overlords finally break their spirit? The battle between Earth and the Overlords raged on, each day bringing new twists and unexpected turns. Humanity's defiance continued to surprise the galactic invaders, but the cost of the war was beginning to show. Earth's cities were scared by the attacks, and the once vibrant atmosphere of hope now carried a shadow of uncertainty. However, amid the chaos, something incredible was brewing. The Overlords, known for their ruthless efficiency and highly advanced technology, were beginning to feel the weight of humanity's creativity. What they had once seen as a mere nuisance, a species that had defied them with memes and laughter, was now forcing them to rethink their plans. The Overlords had underestimated the power of unity. The entire world had rallied together, not just through military strength, but with an overwhelming cultural force. Earth's memes, videos, and clever propaganda had spread like wildfire across the galaxy, making their way onto the screens of even the most distant alien civilizations. It wasn't just the Overlords that were watching anymore. The galaxy had taken notice of humanity's remarkable spirit. Even alien species that had once supported the Overlords now began to question their stance. Some whispered that Earth's audacity was something worth respecting, even if it meant putting their allegiance to the test. Zaltor, the leader of the Overlords, paced the command bridge of his flagship. His once proud fleet was losing momentum. The humans had begun to use the Overlords' own technology against them. They had hacked into their systems, turned their weapons against them, and even managed to destabilize their shields. In space, the Overlords' vast superiority was no longer enough to guarantee victory. But Zaltor refused to acknowledge defeat. The Overlords' pride would not allow it. They were the conquerors of countless worlds, the rulers of galaxies. They would not let a single species stand in their way. The Earthlings, however, had no intention of backing down. The memes, the videos, the relentless mockery, it was all part of the strategy. As absurd as it seemed to the Overlords, humanity had weaponized humor, and it was becoming clear that the invaders were losing their composure. Zaltor had witnessed his own commanders squirm under the barrage of Earth's online culture. The Overlords may have the advanced technology, but they couldn't understand the power of human resilience wrapped in humor. In one particularly memorable moment, as the Overlords launched a new wave of attacks on Earth's major cities, a new meme went viral. It showed a picture of an Overlord ship surrounded by a simple caption, "When you try to conquer Earth but you get trolled instead." The meme spread across every corner of the Earth, and soon, even the Overlord's own soldiers were whispering about it, unable to contain their laughter. The meme was a small victory, but it was exactly what the Overlords didn't want. It symbolized the unity and spirit of the humans. They weren't just being attacked. They were standing tall, smiling through the destruction. They were not afraid. They were not defeated. Amelia Hayes, now a key figure in the human resistance, watched the memes flood the Overlord communications channels. She couldn't help but chuckle, despite the dire situation. "They don't get it, do they?" she said, as her team gathered around her. "We're not just surviving. We're fighting back in ways they'll never understand." Her strategy had always been clear: hit them where it hurts. And humanity had found the perfect weapon: humor. The Overlords might have superior firepower, but they had no defense against the creative power of the human spirit. In the midst of battle, as the Overlord ships launched another barrage toward Earth, something unexpected happened. The humans had adapted quickly, and they were now using the Overlord's own tactics against them. Using captured technology, they had developed new weapons that turned the invaders' most powerful assets into liabilities. Their once unbreakable shields flickered and faltered, and their advanced weaponry malfunctioned. The Overlords had never faced anything like this. How had the humans learned to do this so quickly? How had they adapted so fast? It was clear that humanity was not only surviving, they were thriving. They were learning, evolving, and becoming more dangerous by the minute. Zaltor was furious. "This cannot be happening. We have underestimated them at every turn," he growled, staring at the holographic projection of Earth's defenses. "Send in the full force. We will not be outwitted by this insignificant species." But as the Overlord fleet regrouped for their final push, something else was happening across the galaxy. Other civilizations, watching the battle unfold, began to reconsider their stance. Some had initially aligned themselves with the Overlords out of fear or for political gain. Now they were starting to wonder if the Overlords were truly the unstoppable force they had once believed. As the battle in space intensified, Earth's forces, led by the indomitable Amelia Hayes, found themselves at the forefront of a new hope. The tides were turning. The Overlords had failed to crush humanity's spirit, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The fight for Earth was far from over, but the humans were proving something essential. They were not just a species to be conquered. They were a force to be reckoned with. And that, perhaps, was the greatest weapon of all. As the conflict raged on, something unexpected began to unfold across the galaxy. The Overlords had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and survive, but now they were also realizing that their once unstoppable rule was being challenged not only by humans, but by their own allies. The situation on Earth had grown more dire by the day. The once calm cities were now in ruins, yet the people of Earth were proving resilient. Everywhere you looked, humanity fought back, not just with weapons, but with sheer willpower and ingenuity. But even amidst the chaos, there was a growing sense of hope. It started small. Whispers in the corners of the galaxy, alien civilizations starting to question their allegiances. Some were already starting to drift away from the Overlords as Earth's human resistance grew stronger. These weren't just random planets. These were civilizations with technology far superior to anything Earth had ever seen. Yet, they were intrigued by Earth's sheer determination and the way the people had rallied against an almost overwhelming force. The first crack came from a distant star system, one that had been a longtime ally of the Overlords. A group of species from this system began to communicate with Earth's resistance, offering help in secret. No one knew why they had turned their backs on the Overlords, but their message was clear. "We admire your fight. We want to help." Amelia Hayes, the fearless leader of the human resistance, was skeptical at first. Why would they help us? What do they want in return? She questioned as she sat around a holographic table with her top commanders. The aliens' sudden support seemed too good to be true. But after much deliberation, the decision was made. Earth would accept the offer, cautiously. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Alien ships began to arrive, blending seamlessly with Earth's fleets, offering advanced technology and expertise in their own form of warfare. These were species that had spent centuries under the Overlord's rule, and now they were actively defying their former masters. They had witnessed humanity's resistance and were inspired by it. They, too, had seen how the Overlord's pride and arrogance were their greatest weaknesses. Soon, more systems joined the cause. The galaxy, once so firmly under the Overlord's control, was now beginning to unravel. The sheer audacity of humanity, their refusal to bow down to the Overlord's ultimatum, had ignited something in the universe, an awakening. The Overlords had thought they were invincible, that they were beyond challenge. But as more alien species joined the human side, it became clear that the balance of power was shifting. As the human forces began to coordinate with their new allies, something strange began to happen to the Overlords. Zaltor, the leader of the Overlords, sat in his command chair, watching as his fleet slowly began to falter. "What's happening?" he demanded. "How are they so strong? How did they rally this much support?" His voice echoed through the cold, sterile command room. The answer was simple but impossible for him to accept. Humanity had turned the tide of war not just with weapons, but with an unshakable spirit. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for something far greater, for freedom, for the future of their species, and for the galaxy itself. The Overlords had relied too much on their technology, their military power, and their fear tactics. They had failed to understand one thing, that humanity would never be intimidated or broken. Meanwhile, on Earth, the fight was becoming even more personal. The message from the Alien Alliance was clear. We believe in you. We will stand with you. This message fueled the human resistance, and it inspired them to push forward, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. The memes, once thought to be a joke, now served as a rallying cry across Earth and the galaxy. They symbolized everything the Overlords had misunderstood about humanity. Laughter, creativity, and unity were becoming humanity's secret weapons. But as the Overlords began to lose ground, they weren't going to give up without a fight. The final battle was coming. Zaltor was preparing for an all-out assault that would destroy Earth once and for all. But this time, he was fighting a completely different enemy, one that refused to be silenced, one that refused to kneel. The Overlords had their plans, but humanity had something they didn't: the ability to adapt, to learn, and to inspire. And now, with a united front of alien civilizations and the entire planet of Earth standing together, the Overlords' once unshakable empire was on the verge of collapse. Amelia Hayes stood at the front of her command center, looking out over the map of Earth's defense. With allies from across the galaxy, they had formed an unstoppable force. She smiled, not out of arrogance, but because she knew something the Overlords had never learned: that the greatest weapon wasn't a starship, or a laser gun, or even a powerful fleet. It was the heart of humanity. And as the Galactic Empire prepared for its final move, the humans and their new allies prepared to teach them a lesson they would never forget: that no matter how strong the oppressor, no matter how mighty the empire, nothing could ever defeat the spirit of freedom. The next battle was not going to be one for survival. It was going to be one for victory. The galaxy was on the brink of war, with humanity standing firm at the center of it all. The Overlords, once confident in their absolute power, now faced the unimaginable. Their once invincible empire was crumbling, not by weapons alone, but by the united strength of countless civilizations. The final battle was coming, and there was no turning back. Amelia Hayes and her team stood at the front lines, eyes fixed on the distant stars where the Overlord's fleet gathered. The Earth had been fortified like never before, with alien allies now an integral part of the defense. The once quiet memes that had sparked laughter had become symbols of defiance, of strength, of something more powerful than even the mightiest fleet: unity. The world was united, as one, standing tall against the looming threat. In the command room, a tense silence hung in the air. The holographic map displayed the movements of the Overlord's forces, all converging on Earth. They had underestimated the humans for too long. They had thought Earth would be an easy conquest, a planet to rule like the others. But they were wrong. The Overlords had failed to see the true nature of humanity: an unyielding spirit that could not be broken, a willpower that could not be extinguished. "Do we have everything ready?" Amelia asked her commanders, her voice calm but resolute. "Yes, Commander. Our forces are aligned, and the fleets are prepared. We've secured reinforcements from the coalition. The Overlords have no idea what's coming," replied General Rayner, a veteran of many battles. He, too, felt the weight of the moment, but he shared Amelia's unwavering confidence. The tides had turned, and now it was time to finish what they had started. Meanwhile, the Overlord's leader, Zaltor, watched from his command ship. His empire had been challenged in ways he had never expected. The once glorious galactic armies that had conquered countless worlds were now facing their most dangerous foe: humanity. And the resistance wasn't just fighting for their lives. It was fighting for their future. "How is the fleet ready?" Zaltor growled, his patience wearing thin. "Everything is in place, my lord. The final attack will begin at dawn. We will wipe out Earth and its pathetic allies in one strike. There will be no escape," replied his second-in-command. But even Zaltor couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that had been growing within him. Something had changed since the humans had entered the picture. Their fierce resistance had ignited something in the galaxy, a spark of hope, of rebellion. Alien civilizations that once bowed to his rule were now openly defying him, offering support to the humans. His empire, built on fear and control, was starting to collapse, piece by piece. The time had come. The Overlords' fleet moved into position, their weapons charged and ready for the final assault. Yet, as they neared Earth's defenses, something strange began to happen. A signal crackled through the galaxy, reaching both sides of the conflict. It was a simple message, a message that would change everything. It was a meme. A single image, shared across the stars, of a smiling human face with the words, "That's cute. Do it again." It wasn't just a symbol anymore. It was a rallying cry, a declaration of defiance, a reminder to the galaxy that humanity would never back down, no matter how overwhelming the odds. The Overlords had underestimated Earth's power once again. Amelia looked up at the stars as the message spread across the battlefield. "Let them come," she said, a slight smile forming on her face. The final battle was about to begin, and humanity was ready. With their allies at their side, and the fire of defiance burning in their hearts, they were prepared to teach the Overlords a lesson they would never forget. The ships of the Overlords advanced, weapons blazing, but Earth's fleets stood firm, bolstered by their newfound allies. The galaxy watched as the two forces collided in a thunderous explosion of light and energy. It was the ultimate showdown, the battle that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. For hours, the fight raged on. The skies above Earth were a chaotic storm of lasers and explosions. The alien allies fought alongside humanity with the same determination, each ship fighting not just for their survival, but for the future they had never thought possible. Zaltor, watching from his flagship, clenched his fists in fury. His forces were faltering. The humans and their allies fought with a ferocity he had never seen, their unity and resolve shattering his empire's once impenetrable defenses. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Overlord's fleet began to retreat, their once proud ships turning and fleeing from the planet. It was over. Amelia stood at the command center, watching the victory unfold. "We did it," she said softly, almost in disbelief. "Yes, Commander. We did it," General Rayner replied, his voice full of pride. Humanity had done the impossible. The Overlords were defeated, their empire was crumbling, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Earth had stood strong, united with its allies, and together they had proven that nothing, no threat, no army, no ruler, could ever crush the spirit of humanity. As the dust settled and the stars began to shine once more, the galaxy knew this truth. Humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. And with that victory, the universe would never forget the power of one simple message. "That's cute. Do it again."